Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
August 4, 2020, the Apocalypse Edition. First up, how can a law firm get in trouble around 1MDB? Well, the London law firm of Clyde Company's trust account is linked to a suspect in the 1MDB. This points to how law firms have been used, particularly their trust accounts have been used to launder money, and now these law firms are falling under scrutiny. The people involved in the money, or the clients who own the money, claim that they're not involved and they're innocent of all charges. Nevertheless, puts a certain damper on the firm's reputation and how monies are often put through law firm accounts for nefarious purposes. Next up, from Andrew Hill on his always great On Management column in the Financial Times, how the zombie apocalypse can help prepare us for real crises. Competition for resources, kidnapping and ransom, cannibalism, revenge killing, and all-out war. This pandemic has provoked some outrageous, atavistic behavior, but we have at least resisted so far the temptation to eat each other. Imagining the unimaginable is now part of scenario planning that many companies are beginning to take a look at. I've often talked about super forecasting and how that needs to be a part of the compliance profession, the compliance discipline, and a part of any compliance program. Well, now we have authors, business writers talking about zombie jobs and zombie companies. With the zombie apocalypse, the question becomes, will you be a zombie compliance officer? And it's unfortunately now a legitimate question. Next up, Chris Tomlinson, the business columnist for the Hosuton Chronicle, wrote a very interesting op-ed piece where he said oil patch ingenuity can help fight climate change. Oil and gas companies don't deny greenhouse gases are changing the environment. And obviously companies like Mobil, Chevron, BP have joined others for some initiatives. And so the question is, what will the oil company do? Because the public is watching. Groups like the Environmental Defense Fund are using satellites, helicopters, and ground equipment to track industry emissions, mainly methane. And some environmentalists hope to destroy the oil and gas industry. In reality, yet the oil and gas industry has the opportunity to do things differently. And as concerns over greenhouse gases go, a device designed to skim oil off the top of water tanks in the oil patch could be used to capture methane vapors and then utilize it in a much more environmentally friendly way. As we try to mitigate the global warming, we need honest brokers to look at and solve problems. So perhaps the energy industry can start to be a part of the solution. Next up, from the Washington Post, will corruption doom Donald Trump's presidency? And this is a very interesting article, not because Trump has not engaged in corruption his entire time, and is certainly a reason for his defeat, but as if you spend too much of your presidency openly subverting the nation's interests to yours, when it comes time for you to be reelected, that the populace will be on to your scam. And what Trump would try to do with an October surprise may well backfire because of his corruption. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.